Hey, my friends, thanks for tuning in. It is a scorcher today here in Brooklyn. It's like 90, 95 degrees. Just stay cool out there. If you're out there showing apartments or you're walking your dog, make sure they're all hydrated. So today we want to talk about an update. This is an article that was written in the New York Times. It's related to the new, maybe 2 weeks ago, I guess July 1st, they passed rent regulation laws, okay? We have another video profiling exactly what was changed, like limits on security deposits and rent regulation mostly. So this episode, we're going to talk about payouts for your rent-regulated apartment. All right. So this article, written by the New York Times, can I still get a payout for my rent-regulated apartment? In short, the answer is no. There's a couple reasons why, okay? In this new law that was passed, it's supposed to be a tenant protection, all right? Tenant protection law. We are actually a very tenant-friendly city, no matter how terrible your landlord is. And probably the reason why your landlord's so terrible is because he's trying to protect himself from exposure or liability, okay? So in this new law, once a tenant vacates an apartment, there's a cap on how much new rent they can charge, right? So in the past, in the past, maybe the last couple years, if you lived in a rent stabilized unit and you held out for several months, people pay you. So I've met people who've been paid $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to leave. The most I ever heard was around $400,000. That was for a loft squatting incident. But for rent-stabilized places, if someone buys the building, people leave voluntarily, or they choose to leave because of payout, or sometimes what they do, which is kind of looked down on. I mean, it's kind of like harassment, but they'll do a lot of construction to make it unlivable in the common spaces, right? So if you held out a possibility, if you give up your apartment, they make X amount of improvements. Say they spend $100,000, $500,000. There's an incremental amount they can charge the new rent, right? So in this new law, there's a limit on all these landlords and how much they can charge. So now you're not going to get paid. The reason being is that it just financially doesn't make any sense to have a large payout because they can't get a new tenant at a higher price. They're going to be regulated by the city. So this person, they have a rent-stabilized building in Carroll Gardens, nice place. She pays ridiculously low rent, and she's not getting a buyout. I guess she held out for a while, and now she's definitely not getting a buyout. And also for landlords who own rent-regulated buildings, this really limits the value about reselling these buildings now. I don't know if people are aware of this. If you're in the market for multifamily buildings, you must be aware of these new laws, okay? And if you're a landlord, you should abide by these laws because they're the law. And it limits your protection for tenants who don't pay, because once you're in a rent, if you're not aware, once you're in a rent-stabilized building, it's quite hard to get you to leave if you pay on time. So, quote from a Manhattan law firm, Rosenberg and Estes, by and large, the era of buyouts being commonplace is over. Since the mid-1990s, the last time the rules were overhauled, landlords have been pressuring rent-regulated tenants to move out, leading to loss of more than 155,000 regulated units. One of their tools was a buyout, a cash payment that became city lore with stories of renters receiving multi-million-dollar payouts. That's a little bit, that's a lot. I would not believe that unless it was some massive building with huge development rights. But typically in a unit building 6 or more, that's tended when they become rent stabilized, different things. That's typically where you're seeing them, where someone wants to come in, make some improvements, either raise the rents or sell it, get it vacant, deregulate it, make it all market rate apartments. So this was an effort to protect existing rent stabilized units, right? Because there's a limited amount of them in the city. When developers come in and buy them and they deregulate them, they're deregulated forever. And it typically, once the rent, I think it's $2,400, once it becomes above $2,400. And listen, like I was saying here, owners aren't doing charity work here. They're here to make money. They're running a business. And a lot of times, sometimes people think these landlords are making tons of money, but sometimes the margins are not as good as you think they are, especially if they have a rent stabilized building. I live in a rent stabilized building. The landlord does a great job, but if one of these units goes vacant for a while because they want to fish for a higher price, that 2-3 months of vacancy is a problem for them, especially if they're older, which a lot of these small landlords are with the 5, 6, 7, 10 unit buildings. It's their only source of income. They're not working anymore. So you think that they're making gobbles of profits, but it costs money to run a building. Taxes have gone up quite a lot in the last 2 years for building owners, and the cost of maintaining the building has gotten up. Labor, way up in New York. So there's maintenance in general, just way up in New York. So they're not going to, the long story short is that if you have a rent stabilized unit, you were in negotiations to get bought out, that is not going to happen anymore. There's just no upside for these landlords to do so. So I hope that this was enjoyable. You found this informative. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe, press the bell, follow me on Instagram at Marcus Amadeus or Twitter at Marcus Amadeus. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or rent an apartment or building in New York City or nationwide, give me a call. We have agents all over the country that can help you out and give you sound advice for you. So enjoy. Thanks. Bye. See you next time.